Hey everyone, it's Spiral. Welcome back to some more Revolution Custom Standard. Today, round 1 of Grand Prix Mirage Expo. In fact, I believe it is the first match being played. We currently have our matchup against Stasisbot piloting a red-green Lionheart mid-range up against tomastmtg on white-blue Stratostorm combo. So both players are just about ready to start. We'll be back to this page in between to check out the sideboards and the lists. Hopefully you enjoy the match. Both players look like they're ready, so let's see what we got in store here. All right, looks like they haven't quite rolled yet for the initiative to see who's going to start. But yes, there's some excitement as well as some fear because Stratostorm is kind of a crazy deck. I'm just going to let our players know that I am good to go and already recording. All right, 12-1. Looks like Stasis is going to be on the play here. Absolutely loving the nope icon. Don't know if that's always been there, but yeah, Stasis gets a little bit of a turn 1 buffer here. Looks like we got a mulligan here going to 6. That is a lot of lands. 2 Dark Horse victories, Dutiful and Arbiter is also not what you want to see. Man, I'm looking at this hand, and this is actually kind of a rough start. You don't have any of the early stuff you kind of want to be doing, and because you're mulliganing to 6, you can't do anything cheeky like, you know, draw up to 8, discard Arbiter, pray to ramp to Dark Horse Victory. Not that that's actually a solid play. Over in Stasis' hand, we've got Lands of Plenty with Meandering Path, followed up by 2 basic mountains. We've got some early plays like Star-Studded Sagittar, which I wouldn't be surprised if came out pretty soon, unless we're considering Shigane Manor Burns instead to kind of get that cycle going. Also got a Lionheart in hand and Panic. So honestly, a lot of good pieces. Of course, the deck centers around Lionheart, especially the second -1 activated ability, which essentially lets you play Enchantment Pod. Lots of good targets for it in the deck. Okay, looks like we're going to go with Sagittar first. It's a 2/2 reach. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get to bless a land, and the blessing is Equinox Mark, which gives the land tap, add green. So if your opponent doesn't get some early blockers out, you're going to slowly ramp up by an extra green each turn. I mean, of course, as long as you have the lands to equip onto it. Of course, it kind of locks you into green if you're using that double green. But, I mean, big mana means Terminal Impact will be a lot more impactful. Looks like over here we're just drawing into some basics. Of course, these are the new error pixel art basics, I guess you could call them. I think they look fantastic. I don't necessarily know if they're the ones that I would be running, but they're quite nice. On my end, this is just the basics that I have in my custom picture folder, because unless players are picking like select basics and are just running generics, I always like running just favorite basics from across canon and custom. If ever you've got a favorite basic land and you'd like to see it showcased, you know, hit me up, drop a comment. I'm always happy and flexible to flip my basics for an episode or two. So yeah. All right, Lionheart coming out here. An early ramp off of the Star-Studded Sagittar here on turn 3. No response from the other side, and of course the other side's got plenty of little control pieces, so some things to think about. Right off the bat, we've already got 2 enchantments, right? We've got the Sagittar. Don't think that's what we're sacrificing, personally. But popping the Equinox Mark to go get a 4-mana enchantment, definitely not the worst thing you can be doing here. Quickly looking at the list, we've got... what do we have as like 4-drop enchantments? Looks like we've got Panic is the main one. We've got some stuff at 3. And it has to be 1 plus the sacrifice 1. So 4 is a little bit of a dead zone here for the sacrifice. So it looks like instead we are... Yeah, okay, we're going to cycle our 2 into a 3. That's still fine. There's lots of good 3s. Fabricated Anomaly would be nice. And then we've also got Crumbling Tower and Majesty, which seems like what we picked. So Majesty is whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, You get a 4/3 red and green Spirit Beast creature token, and of course we've already got some 4-mana spells in hand here. And whenever a creature you control deals 4 or more damage to a player, you get to draw a card. So Majesty, pretty good card here. Looks like we're picking up finally a creature. It's a Demographer. Demographer? I actually don't know. Demographer? It's a demograph, right? Demographics, so Demographer. Lovely name. Anyway, it's got an 0/2. It enters, you get to draw a card, then you can discard a card. And if you pitch a non-land, you get to make it Clique, which looks like it's Tyrell Bureau coming out, and drew into another Demographer. So slowly putting a few pieces on the board here. It's nice to see that it's not just going to be an auto win on Stasis's side. There's a little bit of a defense being mounted here. And of course, Demographer also has another 2 and a tap to draw a card, discard a card, and when you discard an online card, you get to make a pledge again. There you go. So running out the second one, looks like we drew Stratostorm. Okay, pieces are coming together. So even with a rough hand, the fact that we're drawing and discarding means that we've already got Arbiter and Dutiful Wanderer in the yard, which is where you want them, because a Stratostorm on turn 4 lets you activate those Planeswalker abilities. We're just going to keep this graveyard here, over on Thomas's side here. And yeah, the pledge here gets to freely trigger Tyrell Bureau since it's already there. So putting more cards in the yard. Yeah, that will be a Stratostorm next turn. Of course, the baseline on this card is fantastic as a 4/4 Flying Vigilance. It's like a Sarah Angel 1 turn earlier. So it's a proper beat stick. Evasive and can hold up as a blocker, so fantastic stuff. But the scary part is it gets activated ability of cards in your graveyard, and that includes planeswalkers, not just creatures. You can activate each of those abilities only once each turn. What did I miss here? Oh, they got put on the bottom of the library. Okay, I thought these were the Primal Fissures that had gone there. Yeah, looks like a Mountain and a Marilia were also supposed to be in the yard. Yeah, I was a bit scrolled up, so. There we go, problem solved. Nice catch here. I had just assumed those were the Primal Fissures that had hit the yard. Yeah, so Marilia also in the yard. So that's 3 Planeswalkers already in. A Stratostorm coming out next turn is going to get a lot of value. Yeah, we can confirm that those were indeed the cards. And yeah, so obviously you know Stratostorm is coming out. Unless you have an instant speed interaction here, a Panic won't necessarily be enough because you're not able to run it at instant speed here. Yep, looks like players are all good. Thankfully, Cockatrice has some good functionality to fix these little errors. So, all right. So thinking through, enchantment. This is what, a 3 can go to a 4. So again, we're kind of in the same pickle where it's Panic and not much else. I think in the main board right now, there's really not too much disruption that you have. I mean, you've got Terminal Impact and you've got Panics, but they're really like from hand at sorcery speed, right? Okay, so we're going to run out the Panic. Spell was cast with mana value 4 or greater, so it gets to create a beast. And discard a card. We're going to deal 4 damage to this Demographer here, and then when it runs, we're going to get another 4/4 red error creature token. So at least it's on the board. One of the scary things about the Arbiter, of course, is the +2 putting your opponent's hand on the bottom of their library. I mean, so do you, but then the player who used Arbiter gets to draw 5 cards, and then the opponents only draw 2. So yeah, it's Stratostorm is a very cheap reanimate target, right? Well, all right, so they're going to set up the subroutines here, program A, B, and C. Cool. Looks like What else is there? The -3. Can't really use it, right? I believe, because you have to be able to activate the loyalty thing. So at least you're not going to get your permanence bounce, I believe. But the pluses are all really good, right? Because you can go +2, +1, that's +3, and then a -3 if you want, right? If I'm reading this correctly, I want to see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, I really apologize. Because you only can activate them once each turn, but if you go +1, +2, you get to draw a card, discard, maybe a tap treasure, bunch of cards. Could you then -3 to exile the opponent's creature and then return yours? And could you flicker Stratostorm? Oh, I guess we'll see pretty soon. All right. So it looks like we went Panic Panic. Popping the Equinox. Yeah, there's a bit of confusion there, but yeah, it's the enters trigger that are going off right now. The sequence trigger is the 4/4 error. Right now, these are just the enter the battlefield effects. So the one cast from hand, and then the one that Weft Heart converted. Okay. Lot of moving pieces. It's just gonna make sure that everything's okay on the player's end, but yeah, everything was legit here. Just gonna be careful with a lot of people in the chat. Spectators can answer some stuff, but they got to be careful about the stuff that they call out. So hopefully we don't have to deal with any of those issues today. As I record, I generally try to be hands off as much as possible. So speaking of the Stratostorm Wombo combo, I'm assuming here it is. There's really no reason not to. Like, the hand doesn't really have much else. I mean, yes, you can Dark Horse Victory, but I'm pretty sure Stratostorm is the call. Well, you're able to get a lot of cards, is the thing, right? Is there a pull that's an auto win, right? You draw 5, each opponent draws 2. And the hand goes on the bottom of the library, so you can never deck out. So, I mean, there can be a lot of redundancy here because of the flicker, right? The -3 being an exile, and then it returns to the battlefield under its owner's control. Marillier is just the draw and loot, right? Yeah. There's no way, because you only can maximum get +2, +1. You'd have to get other walkers in the yard, right? If you get enough walkers in the yard, then you can activate enough positive loyalties to start doing the big ones. Yeah, I imagine that's kind of like the goal, right? If there's a way of looting and drawing, because it's the +1 and the +2 is just keep drawing. You keep drawing 5 cards until you find planeswalkers, right? And then when you get those planeswalkers, oh, okay, +1 to untap the lands, and we're gonna Dark Horse Victory here. Okay, yeah, I can also see that. I was thinking of something very different here, but okay. Arbiter's coming in. Maybe I'm wrong. I assume that's how that could work. But yeah, all right. I mean, Arbiter on board is equally scary because you can use the -3 and the stuff. And I mean, if it ever goes back to the yard, you can just reuse it with Stratostorm. So a lot of cool stuff here. You still have the +1 on Mirage. You're probably not doing the +1 on Dutiful Wanderer, unfortunately. But Arbiter here definitely does give you a lot of value. I'm not sure the untap each land you control here is doing all that much. The issue is while Arbiter is on the board, you can't keep repeatedly using the ability. Yeah, it's normal that the players are going to have a lot of time to think. It's just that kind of deck. So we'll pause real quick, and then when players are ready to start making big moves, we'll get right back to it. All right, looks like we've picked +2 to wheel, which honestly isn't too horrible for Stasis right here. Stasis was down to 1 card, and like, yeah, it was Terminal Impact, but the other 2 cards are probably better. Chromatic Rift here is pretty nice. I can definitely hit a lot of the creatures. I think they're all going to be, was it red? Well, this one's red-green, so it's multicolored. So if you call multicolored, you're going to lose your own Stratostorm. But yeah, all right. Passing over to Stasis, the triggers on the subroutine go to A, so we get the errors. They've got Menace, but I don't believe they have Haste from anything. No. But they do work for Majesty, which is nice. Stratostorm, of course, being a 4/4 means like it can definitely block if it wants to, though like it's kind of like the key piece of your deck. And yes, you have another one in hand. The Illustrious Shangfa is also quite good. Getting that in, I thought they pinged when they run. No. That's only the enter the battlefield effect. Yeah. I think this is an RTC moment. Illustrious Shangfa, so again, very big. The +1 creates a 3/1 Night creature token with, as long as it's your turn, it has Indestructible. The -X is get a permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that too. Just adding in an extra +1 does mean you can get an infinitely wide board, I believe, right? Again, I'm still basing all this on the fact that I think the Dutiful Wanderer is -3 because it's exile up to 1 target creature you control, up to 1 target creature you don't control, and then return the one that you control to the battlefield under its owner's control means you can keep refreshing Stratostorm, right? And you can activate each of those abilities because it's a new instance. So I believe that as long as you can keep getting up to +3 loyalty, which again, you could have with the Arbiter, and now, you know, potentially more here, you can keep infinitely cycling and then reusing your +1 values. So I think that's what I would have gone for, unless somebody would like to correct me in the comments. Again, this is the first time I see the deck outside of the deck list stream. So yeah, a lot of things for players to think about here. You got the bodies, but you know, like, these are still threats on board, and the fact that they're at -7 means Arbiter's -3 is very likely. So, all right, Terminal Impact. 4 mana. Majesty triggers, gets another 4/3. These can't attack this turn, they don't have haste. Yep. Looks like we're Weft-Hearting Panic, so it's going to be Thraxes. Yep. Flying Haste 5/5. That's quite nice. The instant and sorcery spells costing 2 less to cast is just a little extra bonus. Funnily enough, not a lot of instants and sorceries right now to be used, but whenever an opponent casts their second spell, getting a 5/5 red dragon is, you know, quite good. And of course, it's just a, you know, 5/5 flying haste. So this should be enough to hit Arbiter. The question is, if you hit Arbiter, it goes back to the yard. And if it's in the yard, future Stratostorm can use it. It's monocolor also, Thraxes, so it is susceptible to Chromatic Rift at monocolored. And anyway, Thomas is out of creatures right now, so you can just fire off Chromatic Rift for 5, naming everything if you really need to in a pinch to clear up the board. This is really where Panic feels pretty cool because of the fact that, yes, we're on A and we'll have to go to B to C to A, but like in 3 turns, we're going to get another 4/4. So while it might be a bit far away, there's definitely options. So yeah, it looks like the name of the game is I will just kill it. Would rather force the opponent to bring out another Stratostorm, playing out that tap Primal Fisher, and gonna pass it back. Well, also drew one in the hand. So this is where things are going to get a little nuts, I believe, because as long as you can play that Stratostorm, you can activate Merlier to draw a card, then discard a card. You discard the Arbiter, and now there's 2 Arbiters in the yard. So now you can do a +1 untap each land you control, and the +2 to draw, which I think is where the real spice is going to shine. And then you want to maybe flicker your Stratostorm, and then Illustrious Shengfa. And then I think you pretty much go infinite. 2 Arbiters is the +3 that's needed, right? So you're untapping all your lands each turn, and you're going +2. Very interesting. And your opponent's tapped out, so you're not too concerned about continuously giving them 2 cards, because that's honestly not going to matter too much. The draw card, then discard a card does mean eventually your graveyard is going to get full, but like, that's fine. You're going to put a lot of Planeswalkers in the yard, right? So I think that's kind of the goal, right? Unless I'm... yeah, okay, there you go. The Shengfa line, right? I'm glad that apparently this is a thing, and I'm just not just making it up here. Okay, so white +1. Yeah, +1 Arbiter, untap your lands. Sure. Oh, we're just hardcasting Shengfa. Okay. Is this -5 here on Shengfa to bring back Dutiful Wanderer? No. But it is a Thraxis trigger, which is quite nice here. I mean, if you get another Arbiter to trigger untap, you still have Chromatic Rift, right? The problem is, well, monocolor actually clears up most of the threats. The 4/3s that are on the ground are big, but they're not as big. There's going to be a little bit of thinking going on here, not surprising. All right, looks like it's going to be -4 on Shengfa. Creatures and enchantments. All right. Interesting. Am I wrong? You know what? If I'm wrong about Dutiful Wanderer, everything makes sense. That is definitely my understanding of the thing. But, yep. That's a big clear. Chromatic Rift here can also clean stuff up. Weft Heart, that could be Fabricated Anomaly, can be converted into a Panic again. Panic discarding the forest, right? Lets you hit out Shengfa. I always love when people are like, wow, what a cool card. The designer did a great job. Stasis designed this card after winning Worlds last month. Shout out, by the way. Great job on winning that. So there we go. Panic discarding the forest, 4 damage. We're going to put it on subroutine A again. We're allowed to restart from scratch. And passing it back over. Puzzle Box is just such a cool artifact to have lying around, not gonna lie. Sacrificing your own child. Well, sometimes the child can die and, you know, the puzzle box can lie around. Most of the child is still there. All right, passing it back. Cybersaurus counters spells with mana value 4 or less, so plenty of targets if it wasn't for the fact that things are not being cast, they're just, you know, being swapped in. We've got the trigger here on subroutine after the draw, so here's a 4/4 error. We can puzzle box to discard Temple of Abandon, looking for something better. Shigane Mana Burns is not horrible, honestly. It's nice to have this card on the field, slowly giving up value, though I would imagine in response we're going to see a Cybersaurus discard trigger if Shigane gets cast. And of course, Shigane can also be converted to a 3 if ever Stasis really wanted to, but I imagine that this is a Cybersaurus target. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'd feel pretty, yeah, I'd feel like this is the kind of card you want to not let land just because Lionheart can convert it into Majesty. That's a lot of value. Speaking of Shigane Manor Burns, there's the own Shigane Manor. I'm definitely going to have to reach out to players afterwards and check if my understanding of Stratostorm is completely flawed and I can't do the infinite that I'm thinking of. But, you know, if that's not the case, everything here so far makes sense. Chromatic Rift is going to be able to clear up stuff if things get too scary here. 6, we're 1 mana away from hardcasting another Arbiter. Again, Puzzle Box just showing how great a free rummage each turn is going to be, because you really don't need these lands anymore. You're looking for answers. Yeah, so Ardor is a great card. It's going to get Cybersaurus for sure. Yeah. But that's the last of that. So unless Thomas finds a land, there's not going to be an Arbiter on the field this turn. And again, the +2 is good for you, but you don't really want to give your opponent 2 draws here. But maybe you do. I don't know. The return up to 3 target non-land permanents is fine, but then you're down to 2 loyalty, and you've just given them a panic back in their hand if that's what you put in, though. Probably not putting panic. You're probably erasing the tokens, right? Is what I imagine you would do. Okay, so Shigane Manor Burns trigger can discard a card to exile the top 2. But that Misty Peak is kind of important. That is the 7th mana. You don't really want to, discard a land for the chance of getting a land, do you? Because if you whiff, you're just going to feel pretty bad. All right. Okay, I don't know why a treasure appeared there. Looks like it's, there you go. All right, so Phantom Interrupt and Terminal Impact. Can't use the activated ability of Phantom Interrupt, but can use Terminal Impact for a bunch of damage. That's 7. It's not bad. But I think it's just going to be Arbiter, is what I would imagine. Yeah, okay. And anyway, this is until... Oh no, you may play one of those cards this turn, so these are just not going to get used. Alright, so hard casting an Arbiter. If you untap, you go to 6. 6 is not enough, unfortunately, to drop a Phantom Interrupt, but you would be able to do a really big Terminal Impact, at least clear out the error that's on the board, or pop Lionheart if you feel like that's something that you really need to deal with. But again, I think the Arbiter... Yeah, that's what I figured, right? You want cards, but you don't really want to give your opponent 2 draws when they're running on empty. Untapping here, like I said, doesn't do much besides the Terminal Impact. I don't think there's anything out of the graveyard right now that I'm seeing that would be relevant. And the -3 really only wants to target the tokens. You don't really want to put back a Lionheart and a Panic into the opponent's hand. So... Alright, looks like the decision is the +1 to untap all the lands. The question is, are we firing off Terminal Impact? I would imagine. Yeah, okay, at the 4/4. Makes sense to me. That Phantom is just going to exiled, so... it's going to go to C, so in one more turn you get another error, so, And only 6 mana was spent. It wasn't 7 mana anyway, so I don't think you could have had to deal that much damage to each creature and each player. All right, so Urban Jungle, again, a lot of lands. Puzzle Box just proving that it's such a great token to have lying around. Wow, Panic is feeling great here. Oh boy. Again, you're going to be able to drop Panic. Oh, we won't have the card to discard. Okay. That's where there's a little bit of a... That's going to be interesting. Because if you hold it, your opponent can have you lose it, is the issue. I mean, your opponent's tapped out, has no cards in hand, right? So Thomas has got nothing here. Is there is there a consideration for... Oh, never mind. There's only one Thraxes. Never mind. We can't go get another one. I was like, Thraxes would be great. We could hit the Arbiter. No, it doesn't look like it. But casting the Panic here is good, even without the damage, because if your opponent's going to use the -3, you know, sure, you'll get both back, and then you can, discard one of them to trigger. And honestly, you just kind of want to put the pressure of having the bodies here. There's a big terminal impact. Jeez, I wonder if between the Shigane Mana Burns, that would have been 6, and then another 6. That's 12 damage. That could have been a lot of damage at Stasis's face. But yeah, I agree. Getting rid of the 4/4s is quite important, especially because they can test the Arbiter and they really prevent it from using a lot of its strong activated abilities. So it's not an instant, but it can't be countered, which is quite nice. Looks like we're going with the +2. Okay, so cards go on the bottom. Both players are going to draw cards 2 and 5 respectively. Anomaly giving you a second puzzle box is quite spicy. Well, you're not dropping another Arbiter necessarily, though it is something that you could do. Shigane Manor. Dark Horse Victory is not bad, right? Because you can get back your illustrious Shangfa. I don't know which one was the typo, the darn or the... oh, we drew an extra card. That's what happened. Drew 6. It would be undo last draw, right? Normally there's a judge call on this, but we'll see. It does sound like an honest interface error, but normally it's a judge call. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll pause for a little bit again, and when the judge call is resolved, we'll be right back. All right, looks like our judges have ruled in and weighed in because the Arbiter knows the last card that was put on the bottom. Well, okay. Well, now it's been revealed, but it's fine. Not like... well, no sense putting it face down now, but yeah, Control-Shift-D is going to put back the last card. Hopefully. There we go. And then you shuffle, and then we put Terminal Impact on the bottom of the library. And if it was an interface error, so those don't come with a penalty. So the players are just going to play on from here. I'm just going to check something real quick. I don't believe a basic land was... I don't believe a land was played. So, yeah, errors happen. Cockatrice is a fantastic interface, but even it can have little errors sometimes. So... oh, yeah, don't worry about that. I pause the video when these things happen. Fun fact, I only learned about the pause button recently. Um, there's a few times in the past where I was like, wow, that's so much dead air. I bet I'll just cancel the stream. And I'm like, you know what? If I can just hit the pause button. And yeah, it's the same amount of my time, but like it really doesn't matter too much. All right. So let's see what the players do now that all this is fixed. We should be able to play on. Island for a play gets you up to 7, so you can cycle the Arbiter. Yeah, there's a lot of moves and things to consider in this deck, so not surprised. Maybe we'll pause just a little bit while players think on what to do next. Okay, looks like we're playing that Island. Dark Horse Victory. I'm assuming Shengfa. Yep, that's the one that makes the most sense to me. Very cool card, Dark Horse Victory. Can do some really, really wild things because it can get back any permanent with activated abilities. So, Cyber Sources can get brought back. Come to think of it, 7/9 Ward 3. Shame it's not a. Oh no, that's not even flying. It's just a flash 7/7. So anyway, Illustrious Shengfa is totally cool. Getting a bunch of knights is great. Your opponents can't cast more than one spell. Probably isn't going to matter too much here. But the because you control an enchantment, you can always use the -4 and then clear up the panics once more. So we'll see what the choice ends up being. All right, looks like we're running out a Shigane Manor Burns again. I'm going to put a tapped treasure. This one hit for the 2, so this one's a turn behind now on the lore. Okay, so it looks like it is -4 on Shengfa. Well, that won't matter, because we're destroying all enchantments. Right? Oh, sorry, -4 for the X. Okay, makes a lot more sense. I was like, are we sure we're doing that after? Okay, so there's Stratostorm. I mean, we're back to kind of where we started. I mean, there's lines here with Marillier, draw a card, discard a card, you discard Arbiter. Or maybe you discard the first Marillier, then you +1 Marillier, discard Arbiter. Arbiter gets you enough loyalty on Stratostorm, Dutiful Wanderer. You don't have to have a opponent have a target, but you can keep kind of going infinite there. Okay. Looks like we're going just for the hand ship. So cards on the bottom. All right, there's another Stratostorm. But both Arbiters, I believe, have been activated, so you need to use Dutiful Wanderers. Nope, okay. Interesting. Okay, well, this is A, so 2 errors come out. And cards in hand is a bunch of lands and a Weft Heart. Actually, Weft Heart is quite nice here. Only gets 1 spell each turn, but, getting Weft Heart back isn't bad. Not a lot of targets, though, for Weft Heart's -1 right now, because those panics don't really convert into anything at the moment. I'm assuming we're just going to ditch one of these lands. Finding more lands. It's okay. It happens. Definitely digging for some removal, and because beating up that Stratostorm would be pretty good. Of course, there's another one in hand, one in the grave, so there's still one floating around somewhere. I mean, yeah, Stasis is definitely a little bit on the back foot, even though They're at 18 life, just because it's going to get really tough dealing with all these cards, and Illustrious can't minus five, like, was it -4 to nuke the board again? But you know, there's options. Okay, so it looks like we went for Weft Heart and created Save, which I'm imagining is going to go on B, so that you can have the trigger next turn. Honestly, big shout out to the subroutine frame, like tokens and cards, like is such a cool thing. All right, so here's Weft Heart number 2. First and only spell that can be cast this turn. Playing out the tap Primal Fisher, honestly, why not? And I love how we immediately -1 to get a second copy of Save. That's really cool. Alright, so Shigane's triggering. Well, second Shangfa is not bad. Here's a tap treasure. Misty Peak can be played, but I think you only play one of those cards, right? Yeah, so probably not going to necessarily be the Misty Peak here, especially because you got the mountain from the land, from hand, I mean. All right, there's a lot of stuff on board right now, once again, so give our players some time to, Okay, well, tapping lots of lands. There's Stratostorm. Yeah, having 2 Stratostorms definitely kind of presents the infinite, because as long as one can flicker itself, right? I mean, I guess, like I said, even just one of them can do it as long as you can get your other planeswalkers. Because it's +1, +2, net 4 when I -3 Arbiter. Oh, we're doing it from hand? Yeah, go through it once. I would also ask that, yeah. So there's 4 mana. Stratostorm does the +1 from the Arbiter in the yard, untaps all the lands. Do it again. So white, white, blue, 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 red, and then whichever one you want. So a whole bunch of mana. These were the 2 Stratostorms using Arbiter here. We're -3ing the Arbiter that's on the board to return up to 3 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. You pick up both your Stratostorms and you get rid of one of your opponent's errors, I would imagine, as the next target. Oh, no, you need Arbiter again? Oh, we're doing it from hand. Okay, true. Okay. There's Arbiter. Stratostorm, and then, yeah. 8 + 8. Yeah. Yes. And because this costs 7, you will get mana. 16, 8, and 7. Yeah. Okay, so 30 million mana, and you can do it in pretty much whatever color because you got some flexibility here. And then Terminal Impact. Okay. Whew, we got there. I'm sure this could have been done a lot easier using else. I'm gonna have to ask because that is bugging me. Anyway, we're moving to sideboards. Let's see what we got. End of mutations whenever opponent casts a spell during your turn. I mean, yeah. Whenever they try and counterspell your stuff, you can hit them for 5. Getting to it though, I mean, it's a 6 mana card. Vasilea is the 8 life. Don't think that's necessarily what's going to save you here. Because it's really just killing you with an infinite, right? So, I mean, this hits exiles an artifact or enchantment. I mean, there were some targets for that. Really not the artifact thing. Creatures with flying, artifact. Soul Guide Lantern, yes. Primordial Gateway. Can't sacrifice. No, can't cards and graveyards can't leave. Oh, man, Faces doesn't really do much here, right? Because, I mean, it starts Dog Horse, but, I mean, you almost wished you had just more Soul Guide Lanterns, I would imagine. Over on Thomas's side, what do we got? Counter non-creatures, but a lot of the enchantments are creatures. Okay, this can hit some creatures with Crux. Contest can dig. I don't know. I'm not sure there's a lot in the sideboard here that's necessarily going to be like exceedingly impactful. So we'll see if any of them come up. Okay, looks like Veto did get brought in. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's enough. Not, I guess just the fact that you can threaten the Planeswalker is enough with Veto. Yeah, and it's colors. It's a 1 mana. Okay, yeah, I can see why. Well, that is a creature, so not getting vetoed. Misty Peak, gonna leave it tapped, holding up mana for veto here. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If we go 3rd land, star-studded, right, and then go for Weftheart, Weftheart's gonna get vetoed. Oh no, wait, you can't veto. Color among permanents you control. You don't... Dang, that doesn't do anything right now, right? Because you don't control a permanent. Oh, never mind. Holding up that veto mana, but not really. All right. I wonder if it was... I mean, I don't think necessarily it was a mistake, but I wish Starsetter had been able to hit a few more times, just because I think a few more Equinoxes converted to -4s would have been quite nice. So yeah, the question is, like, you could switch out your Equinox right away, get that 4/4 body, but you're not getting the 4 damage. But like, maybe that's correct. Just get a 4/4 error going on the next turn. Already start putting pressure. Your opponent's only on 2 lands, and they're going to have to deal with a 2/2 and a 4/4. And you can't let the 2/2 through, because every time the 2/2 gets through, you get to bless one of the lands. And then when that happens, you get to make more errors. Let's see. Are we potting or are we saving? All right, looks like pod. There goes Star-Sighted Sagittar. Fabricated Anomaly gets Puzzle Box. Okay. Playing out these Shocklands tapped. We're just going to start cycling out stuff like this. So Abominable Avalanche is quite cool, just because if ever you spent 5 mana to cast spells, you get an extra 3/3 green Yeti along with it. So even though you don't get the 3 damage, if you're able to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we have that? Yep, 2 mana, 3 mana. There's 5 mana. That can be a Yeti. Okay, so Puzzle Box again. Yep, Primal Fisher. I mean, you're still playing out Urban Jungle here, I think. Okay, getting the hit first. exiling 2 cards, so you can put a +1/+1 counter on it. Right? Yep. Goes up to 3/4. Righty. I'm assuming it's going to be Urban Jungle, Fabricated, Shigane. That's 5 mana. At the end step, get the Yeti. Okay, a lot of stuff coming up on board uncontested here. Definitely more pressure than that first game. Like, the demographers are really what kickstarted the whole thing, right? Being able to get the cards from the hand into the yard just in time for Stratostorm to show up. So, Shigane is going to create a tap treasure. Now the question is, do you Weft Heart? I guess the answer is no. I guess the answer is just we're going to start hitting face. That's 8/8. That's lethal in 2. 4 mana. 5 doesn't get you any of these walkers. There's 6 and 7 drops. Dang. All right. Do you puzzle box the Primal Fisher? I mean, it doesn't really matter if... I mean, you can back up to the upkeep. End step is yeah. Cool. As long as you don't draw and get new information. So, yeah. I would always be fine with that because oh, nice. Fabricated Anomaly number 3. Triple puzzle box is like some really spicy stuff. And yeah, a lot of stops, a lot of things that you want to do. There's the draw. Main, probably cycle away Temple of Origins. I mean, again, you're looking for more impactful things. Now it's you may discard a card. You don't have to. Because these are like perfectly fine cards. I love the mathing thing. Because 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 2 in the yard, so it's an extra counter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think we can get an extra 3 cards in the yard though to get a second trigger, but I mean even 9 is just enough to present lethal on the following turn. Like, what's the... Honestly, it's really tough draws, right? Because even if you pull a demographer, you don't have the mana for Dark Horse on the same turn. All right, looks like Fabricated is getting binned. Looks like the land is getting binned, and Shigane Manor picks up 2 basics. Well, I mean, might as well play one of them, right? 6 mana here. I think we're just running out. Panic. So yeah, so Vito's potentially really good. Definitely feels a little rough right here that it can't even be used until you have something on the board. Though normally you would imagine that by turn 4 and turn 5, So what I'm assuming is Panic is going to go into our 5/5 Flying Dragon. Are we close to lethal now? We've got 5 in the yard, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think that's lethal. Because there's 5 cards, right? Attacks here on the Fabricated Anomaly. Exile number of cards equal to its power. 2 cards, 3 cards. Yeah, okay. We got lethal with the line off of the Panic. So a counter on Fabricated and a counter on green. That was a big difference here. Actually, not giving your opponent the chance to land anything. So yeah, 15 damage. Much faster game too. Wow. All right. Players are going to sideboard real quick. I assume that shouldn't take too long, so we're not going to tab out back to the internet. Oh my gosh, blanking so hard on words today. Yeah, that was rough. Didn't play a spell, but rough mulligans. So yeah, looks like players are already ready. Shouldn't take too long. Wonder if Stasis is considering anything else. Okay, looks like Thomas is also going to go back and think about it a little bit. That veto didn't feel really good there, but I mean, I can see the veto doing stuff. It's just you're going to want to land some early permanents, right? So Shigane, Demographer, I mean, other than that, veto doesn't feel like it's doing a whole lot in the deck. You don't have very cheap... Oh, well... Sorry, Demographer, because it makes the pledge, is why veto is really good. I keep forgetting that the cliques are actually the colors. It's come up already before in other things. So, yes, Demographer into veto is what makes veto good, but you really got to get your Demographers. Because otherwise, boy, that veto really felt sad. And for a moment, I was like, hey, it's actually going to do something. But no permanents on the board. You know, no vetoes around. So, looks like Stasis is ready. Thomas is just going to think a little bit, and then as soon as players are ready, we're gonna get back into it. All right, that didn't take too long. Players are gonna draw their opening hands. 3 lands: Cybersaurus, Dutiful, Arbiter, Merlier. I mean, that's something. I don't think it's great though. Still, right? Like your game plans is the Strato. Your game plan is Dark Horse. Merlier can help you find it, but yeah. Oof. I mean, you got lots of lands in Shigane Manor, so you're going to, like... Yeah, the thing there is... Treasures will help you ramp pretty high, then you can discard to exile, and you can probably find the stuff that you need. So, honestly, not too bad here. Stasis keeping 7. Dry to the Keen-Eyed, we didn't get a chance to see it in any of the previous games. When it enters, you search for a basic forest, reveal it, put into your hand, and if you have big devotion to green, it goes into the battlefield tapped instead. So it's a 2-drop that gives you a forest, and then essentially you cycle it away with Lionheart, right? Seems to be pretty much the name of the game. All right, early Shiganes. Wonder if we're going to get early Shiganes on both sides. Though I could see Dryad being more important to play out. Shigane is really nice to have early just because it keeps looping. And what's really nice about Shigane, and I mean, each of the effects are fine, and with the time loop they do keep happening, but this card hasn't really felt like oppressive, I would say. It's just felt like the effects are really at the right place. Because again, you are kind of taking off a turn if you're playing a Shigane Manor Burns, and I can see that being a problem against very aggressive decks that are able to capitalize on your opponent taking that turn to get a tap treasure, and then getting a few cards, but that 2 damage occasionally, you know? If your opponent's dropping some really fast stuff on turn 1 and turn 2, you don't have time to dawdle too much on Shigane Manor Burns, but definitely a really fun card. I'm happy that a lot of these decks are playing it. Looks like we're playing the Shigane Manor Burns from hand, and then I'm wondering if we're going to go Treasure Peak and play Shigane from, yeah. So 3 of them on the field is where things get quite interesting, because, you know, you've already got your treasures. Next turn is going to be Impulse if you want to discard, kind of cycle out some lands, though probably want to play a few of these. Three lands isn't great. What's really good is the you may discard a card, right? We've been able to get Shengfaz now in the graveyard, so that's one that matters. I'm going to keep it open here so we can keep an eye on that. Stasis' hand, though, has some really strong cards, of course. Lionheart, key engine in the game, but Ardor is really, really good. Fabricated Anomaly proved to be phenomenal. Honestly, shout out to Puzzle Box. That card just keeps being super impressive. Not surprised that Stasis is playing a deck with a card that they were able to design. So there's Lionheart using that treasure from Shigane, and now going to -1 away The mana to go get a 3-drop, it looks like it's going to be Majesty. Going to line up really well next turn into Ardor, Forefront of Freedom. That's a really good 1-2 combo because when you cast Ardor, you're going to get your 4-3, and when Ardor lands, all your creature tokens get +1/+1, have haste, and have to attack each combat if able. So you're going to get a 1/1 soldier off of Ardor, which is going to become a 2/2, and then the Majesty's token is going to swing for 5, so that's 7 hasty damage, and it's just going to keep increasing by an extra 2 points on every turn because Ardor keeps making tokens, and the 3/3 menace is going to be really big. So drawing a lot of stuff here. Wow, the actual issue is that there's 2 chromatic rifts, but unfortunately, yeah, no lands. Yeah, that's why I was saying the concern about discarding the lands is, to be fair, digging 4, I would have expected at least 1 land. The fact that we didn't get it does feel a little bad. And yes, they were the same. Yeah. The rift doesn't feel great here. There's no creatures on the board yet. It'll feel great next turn, but there's 2 of them gone, and those are going to be exiled, and you can't play the Phantom Interrupts because there are 7 drops. Can't use the discard mode for Surveil and Draw, unfortunately, which unideal. But looks like we're going Terminal Impact to deal 4 damage on Lionheart, which is a very reasonable thing. Like, if you've got the mana, you got to do some of the plays. The issue is that's not really going to matter too much because the real scary threat is coming down right here with Ardor, Forefront of Freedom. So as we talked in the Deckless Reveal stream, this is the little 1/2 that just deals so much damage because that's going to be 7 haste damage right in the face. Yeah, is correct. And like I said, even though these Shigane Manor loops are doing a lot, the next thing is just, 1, 2, 3, 4 points of damage and a tapped treasure. So not drawing anything here, and you're out of cards. You just drew a basic land. That's really not great. Arbiter's in the yard, Illustrious Shangfa's in the yard. They're just ready for a Stratostorm. But yeah, and as we said, if only both Chromatic Rifts didn't just get exiled. I was going to say not dead yet because it's creature tokens, but I do think, because it's going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, and we've got 3 in hand, right? With Abominable Avalanche, because that can deal to any target. So no cards in hand. I think this is just a really quick pickup on game 2, game 3 for Stasis. Just showing the win. And there we go. 1 hour first game, and then 2 games in 13 minutes. So, phew, tough mulls on the last game 2, game 3. That is for sure, especially the previous game. But that game 1 definitely showed some cool stuff. I'll definitely reach out to players and see about that Elspeth stuff, but feel free to comment in the comments below on the video if I am totally wrong or if I am right. So something to keep in mind. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been an amazing start to Revolution's GP Mirage Expo, and hopefully you stop by for many more videos in the future. So take care and have a good one.